coming to you live from Tennessee, from the east to the west. We are talking Cowboys everything. And you just entered
the Cowboy Zone.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cowboy Zone. Thank you guys for watching. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee.
And this is Lambo coming out of Johnson City, Tennessee with Cowboys, y'all.
All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I see we got Rika joining us, coming straight out of D.C. uncensored. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you coming in and showing us a little bit of love. I know you watch a ton of Cowboys podcasts. So looking forward to seeing kind of what you say, giving us your feedback. As always, Mendoza, definitely appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate your support. All right, guys. So we're dead smack in the middle of the dead zone between OTAs and training camp. We're 3 weeks in. We got 3 weeks left. So Lambo and I tried to come up with some stuff to keep things more engaged, kind of talking about what we can expect going into training camp in the season. And we've been pushing this one back for 2 weeks. So tonight we're going to finally let you guys know our top 5 position battles going into training camp. Looking at the list, Lambo and I have some of the same groups, but they're in a completely different order. And I'm pretty sure that our reasons for choosing them are different as well. And Rika, definitely, if you guys don't follow Moving the Chains, make sure you go follow her. She writes some great blogs, very entertaining, very informative as well. So make sure you find her on social media. Rika, if you get a chance, please put your information in the comments so that I can put it on the screen and everybody can see it. Shane Odom, thank you for joining as well. I see we got people coming in pretty quickly. So before we get started, make sure you share it to your personal page, share it to your favorite page. Let everybody know what we're talking about tonight. Lambo, how you doing?
Pretty good. What's up, Jeff? Baby's screaming, so I'll try to mute for y'all until she finally falls asleep. But
hard to do. You're doing your top 5 first.
I know, man. And a little tired. Made the trip home for my uncle's funeral, as we talked about. And man, I probably haven't slept since about Monday night. I think 2 hours since Monday night. So I'm running on coffee and
whatever that bottle is.
Coffee, a little bit of Jose Cuervo, a little bit of everything, a little bit of water.
What's up, Philip? You see what he said?
Smack that baby with some cheese. Yeah. Oh, he's seen the video. My when my 5-year-old was crying the other day, throwing a temper tantrum. So I pulled my phone out and I took a big slice of cheese and I was like, "What?" it stuck to his face and instantly he's just like,
"Where'd you post it at? I didn't see it."
I posted on my page, my Facebook page, my personal. Yeah, as soon as it smacked his face, he just straight face like, "What? This dude just smacked me with some cheese." But it works for some reason. Kids just get shocked that you slapped them with some cheese and they just stop crying. Thanks, Shane. I appreciate it. Yeah, we got to go. We had a big old military funeral. It was beautiful. A lot of speakers. They brought the whole command out for him.
Oh, wow.
There was hundreds of people. They even busted in some people. And he worked with SEALs for like over 20 years. And then he was with Secret Service after he got out of the military too. So like even my own family, we don't even know the exact job my uncle did for many years. Mm-hmm. And now I'll never know. But yeah, it was emotional, man. But it was awesome. They sent him off right. That's for sure.
That's good.
They sent him off good.
Yeah, I definitely know about loss in the family. That's always kind of hard to deal with, especially if it's someone close to you. So I definitely appreciate you toughing it out, joining us on the Cowboy Zone tonight so that we can talk a little bit of training camp position battles. So guys, before we get started, like I said before, make sure you like this. Your engagement helps us to grow the nation. So make sure you like it. Also, make sure you share. And as always, keep bringing those great comments. Let us know some of your position battles to watch as we enter training camp. Yuri Miza looks like a new name. So thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. If we know you by another name, please let us know in the comments. Because I know that's. Have you seen that name before, Lambo?
That's a new one, I believe. That's
Okay.
a new one. I'm not sure if that's my page or your page or maybe the Cowboy Zone page.
It's Facebook, so more than likely it's the Cowboys own page, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think it is.
I see we got Jersey in the house, so thank you. Appreciate you joining us Eastern time. All right, Lambo. So let's get into it. Like I said before, Lambo and I individually made our list in terms of top 5 position battles, and we're just gonna gotta kind of go through our list, tell you why we chose those groups. Lambo, before we get started, kind of let the people know your thought process and how you came up with ranking the position battles.
Oh man, the thought process is really just where I seen the biggest hole to be filled. I mean, that was one of the things I kind of take into consideration. Another one is just the amount of new talent at that specific position, because we brought in a lot of young talent, and a lot of the young talent on this team, even from last year, hasn't really had a chance to prove themselves yet. So we even have, I mean, we have young talent from that we brought in this year, and we still have young talent from last year that we don't know what we got with. Motherfuckers. And so that alone is going to create a lot of, I mean, you got a bunch of hungry young dudes trying to establish themselves and, just get started in the NFL, you're going to have a ton of competition. I've kind of looked at a lot of those areas that got a lot of young, hungry guys.
Yeah.
Battling for a job.
All right. Well, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Charlie, one half of Dallas Cowboys Uncensored. They just had a great interview with Marcus Mosier with a bunch of different blogs and podcasts. So if you guys get a chance after this one, make sure you go to that page and check out that interview, because Marcus gave a lot of great insight. He's pretty much been parroting and confirming everything that Charlie's been saying for the past 5 years or so. So he was definitely ecstatic during the whole interview. But if you guys agree or disagree with the stuff you heard Charlie say, check it out so you can hear from another source that you may find more reliable. All right, Lambo, so let's get into it. We will start off with your number 5 position battle to watch during the during training camp. All right, Lambo. Number 5, you put offensive line.
Yeah, and a lot of that really is coming down to seeing how we're going to fill out the end of that roster, how that's going to fill out.
You mean the tackle position or the bottom of the roster?
Just the bottom of the roster as far as the offensive line goes, whether it's 9 or 10 and who fills up those last spot or two. There's a lot of mixed emotions on that, as far as a lot of, you see some people thinking Steele's out of here. You see some people, that think otherwise,
right?
Which I think we're those people. It's just gonna be interesting to see how the bottom of the roster shakes out. And then also I still we have read recently that Biotish is looking really good apparently.
Yeah,
and looks like he's a 4-year vet out there. So center is already shook out. Connor Williams appears to be coming and starting. So, I mean, we pretty much know who our starting 5 is going to be. I would like to see Connor McGovern at least push Williams a little bit at left guard, but most of it is just really seeing how the rest of the roster fills out, seeing if Josh Ball can jump right in where he's at as a rookie and go ahead and take that swing spot.
Yeah.
That's something I'm real interested in as well. So,
okay. So, I know you put offensive line. Is there one position in particular that you're more focused on than another one?
Mostly left guard and swing tackle.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Rika says she's on the fence with Steele. He gives me traumatic Vietnam flashbacks. On the other hand, I want to see him after last year in his first training camp.
Yeah. I'd like to see how he grows, because like like we've talked about before, undrafted guy got no offseason last year.
Right.
That's tough. That's real tough. And it looked horrible at first.
Yeah.
But then we started to see some progression as the year went on. That's kind of where I'm at with that, and where he's so young, and we're not going to need him to jump right in there right now. So he's a guy I'd feel good about going forward and see if he can continue to grow.
Yeah. Actually, this time last year, almost 1 year to the day, we had Boss Cowboy on this show, and we were talking about undrafted free agents. And he and I were kind of going back and forth because he was the only person I heard that was high on Terrence Steele.
Yeah.
And he was kind of saying about the traits and let's see him year 2. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he does, see if Boss was right about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything he did last year, I expected it. Undrafted guy. Like you said, Lambo, he didn't get off season. Riker said the same thing. And you said Riker said she didn't see much improvement last year. I guess that's based on your assessment of improvement, because I thought he was god awful. Like, he shouldn't be on the team week 1.
It was that bad at the beginning.
He looked halfway respectable. And again, with no offseason as an undrafted rookie at arguably the hardest position, probably the 3rd hardest position on the offense, right tackle, I think he did okay. I'll give him a C, which, again, everything he went through, I think a C is a good grade for him, C-. And Charlie says his weakness coming in was his weakness. A year of sprint training will help him. I said this last year. His biggest weakness is his feet. He has a tendency not to be able to shuffle his feet as well as he should, but he has like 35, 36-inch arms that helped him out a lot in college. So hopefully they can work on some technique to help him get in his sets a little bit more. And with his long arms, I think he would be okay. But again, hopefully we don't rely on him for a full season. Maybe it's 1 or 2 games. All right, Lambo, let's go to your number 4 position battle. If I can find it. All right, so your number 4 position battle is defensive tackle. So talk to us a little bit about the defensive tackle position.
That one's really I don't know how much of necessarily a battle it's going to be, because I'm kind of expecting to see a lot of Urban and Gallimore early on. But I will say I'm just so excited to see a lot of these guys. Defense tackle has been a weak point for.
No, that's my mistake. That's me.
That's good.
Take it back.
You're good. It's been a weak point for quite some time, man. And now we finally have a little bit reason to be a little bit more optimistic and excited. We bring in Brent Urban. The guy was around 2nd or 3rd best run graded defensive tackle in the league last year. That's huge, because obviously we've been terrible in stopping the run. What was it, like 31st against the run or something like that last year? So that's huge. Yeah. I'm excited to see him on the field. Gallimore showed a lot of promise as a rookie. I'm excited to see what he's going to do coming in this year. Tristan Hill, who I completely was like many, didn't even want him on the team. He showed some real good flashes before the injury. So I'm excited to see what he's going to come back in and bring, knowing that, he's got his back against the wall too. So it's time to show up. And then you look at Osa Odigizua. There's tons of reason to be excited about this guy.
Definitely.
I mean, when we drafted him, I was like, hold on, how much does he weigh again? And I was focusing on those things. And then you start to look into him and really do some research, watch some college tape on him. And you're like, wow, this guy can play. And he's got some fierce hands. He knows how to use his hands. He's going to help. Definitely. He really is. Wrestling background and whatnot. And then, then we finally get a big nasty, which is something we don't do in Bohanna. So I'm excited to see if he does stick around on this roster or not and actually make this roster. It's going to be interesting to see, but there's just so much young talent on that defense in the interior there that, I mean, it really feels like anything could happen right now. Nothing's set in stone. So it's going to create for a really fun battle.
Oh, I agree, and you definitely hit the nail on the head with all those. Now, with the offensive line position, you talked about it's going to be some competition at the bottom. Who do you think are like the bottom two defensive tackles who are kind of competing, 2 or 3 that are competing kind of for that last spot?
I'm gonna say I'm kind of thinking that there's gonna be a little bit of a battle between Steele and Tyler. I can't ever pronounce his last name right. Niseki.
Nsekhe. I mean,
Niseki.
yeah. Well, what about on the defensive line position? Who do you think are kind of the 2 guys at the bottom kind of competing?
Oh, my bad. I don't know why I thought you said offensive line.
No, I did say offensive line.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Backtracking.
All right. On defensive line, Hill. It's going to be Hill and Bohanna.
Okay.
They're going to be the guys to really need to solidify and keep their spot, because we still don't know if they're going to go 5. They could go 4. And if they don't go 5 and they go 4, it's going to be between Hill and Bohanna, in my opinion.
I agree. And Riker makes a great point. The top 3 are pretty much locks. Agree with that completely. She says Hill has to fight Watkins for a spot, and if Hill's working hard, he's in. If not, Carlos. So Riker, and let us know in the comments, because you just completely overlooked Quinn Bohanna. So do you think he's a lock, or do you think he's competing with those guys as well? Interested in your take on that one, Riker. And Mendoza, agreeing with you 100%, Lambo. And Ed and Eddie Silver and Blue, I just saw you on DCU. So thank you for coming over and joining us tonight as well. Make sure you subscribe. I'm Bluff City Cowboy. Lambo is Cowboys, y'all. Make sure you subscribe to both of our channels. And also make sure you hit that like button as well. That's for you and for everybody. So Riker, let me know what you think about Bohanna, okay? And she says he's the only true one technique. He doesn't have to compete. I disagree with you on that one, and I'll get to that once I get to my top 5. And Eric, the second half of DCU, joining us as well. He's saying Hill is the only one without a sponsor. And people don't understand. Having a sponsor is a really big deal on a NFL team, because it's a lot of politics involved, especially if you're not a guy. And every little bit helps in terms of getting that roster spot. Yuri says, how do I follow y'all on YouTube?
You could type in Bluff City Cowboys on YouTube. It should take you to Marcus's channel. Just hit subscribe, and then type in Cowboys y'all. And same thing, just hit subscribe. You'll see the channel pop up. We've got a ton of videos on there. I probably got a few hundred or so by now. Yeah,
Lambo's been doing it for a while. And I apologize, Eric. The first half of DCU, not the second half.
Oh, snap. That's funny. I was going to say something in that. I completely got off track with it. That was good.
That's a good point, Riker.
Damn,
and DJ Dog says he's pulling for Hill and Bohanna both to make it.
I am too.
Yeah, we all love these guys. We're not saying we hate them, but there's only so many spots available. So DJ Dog, in the comments, let me know if Hill and Bohanna make it. Which guy do you think have to lose their spot? And Mendoza says he doesn't have Watkins making it. I'm kind of growing on Watkins, and I'll get to that once I get to my top 5. And and Eric going back and forth. How about we just go with the co-host instead of first half and second half?
So I don't think being the true one technique is technically also guarantees Bohanna a spot, because Dan Quinn, if you look back at him, I don't believe he's always had a true one take. I could be wrong on that.
That's a great point.
When I think back, I'm trying to think of an instance where he had.
They had Ray Jerry, who was about, and I just know that because I grew up with him.
Yeah,
6'3", about 310 out of Ole Miss, first round pick. Mm-hmm. They also had this big kid. What's his name? He was a really big kid, and I remember on Hard Knocks they used to give him a hard time all the time. They had him. They played the kid from Clemson, Grady Jarrett, at one technique.
I remember Grady Jarrett.
Yeah. They played Grady Jarrett at the one technique quite often. Not Sanat, but you're close, Mendoza. I think you got to go back a year. Marlon Davidson? No,
from
it's not Marlon Davidson. You got to go
Auburn.
back.
Wasn't he from Auburn?
From Auburn. He's like
Yeah.
a year or two ago. You got to go back probably the first year of Dan Quinn. Dontari Poe was in there a little bit too, but that's before they transitioned out of the 3-4 and went to the 4-3.
Yeah.
Man, I can't remember his name. And I'm usually good at that, but not on the spot. But yeah, I'll look that up as well. But like I was saying, and Lambo, like you said, a big, fat, sloppy DT is not an important part of a Quinn system. And I think people forget, we love Brent Urban. He's 6'7", and he's like barely 300 pounds.
Yeah.
So it's really more about your technique and being able to two gap. And being big and fat doesn't guarantee you can two gap. It just guarantees you can take up a spot. I cannot think of the guy's name. That's it. Thank you, DJ Dog. Rashid Hageman. That's the name I was trying to think of.
Did he play for Minnesota? Oh, yeah, it says right there, Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
This is why I love. That's why I love this fan base. I forget something, and you guys immediately bring it back up. Rashid Hageman. That was the other defensive tackle they had. Hey, I'm all about the fatty, so I have no problem with them keeping one around.
As long as he is better than Dontari Poe was for us. If he comes out there looking like Poe, I'm get him out of here quick.
Did you mean I wanted Hageman or Bohanna, Jeff? I mean, I'll always take a Memphis guy. And I did like Hageman. I don't know if I was in love with him in that draft. If I'm not mistaken, that had to be 2014 or 2015 NFL draft. Yeah, Riker and Jeff both. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was a very athletic guy for his size. So I was interested in him in that draft. But yeah. All right, Lambo, let's go to. We're going through these pretty quick. This might be one of our shorter shows, and I don't have my computer to open the phone lines up.
Oh, I can. I was planning on going an hour just because where I've been awake for so long.
Yeah,
but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good now, so it's no rush.
Oh, we're at 24 minutes, and you're not finished yet, so we probably will cut it about an hour.
Yeah, if not, I can roll. I keep rolling.
Good. All right, so now we will go to your number 3 position group, and you can tell us a little bit about the competition at the cornerback position.
That's gonna be a fun one. So
I agree.
Phew, man. Obviously, Diggs is like the only true lock, and probably Jordan Lewis in the Nick slot. So, phew, man, it's gonna be interesting because we've had our thoughts on Anthony Brown often, throughout this the whole process of this offseason. Is Anthony Brown going to be a part of this team? I know that sounds crazy right now, but in a little bit, I'll just let Marcus make that point of why that could be.
Make you the bad guy.
But so I mean, all right. So we got Boss Man Fat in the second round.
What's up, Geechee?
I know. Well, we both liked him. Yeah. We both liked him a lot. He's the thing is he's got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to learn. I don't know if I honestly, if I had to guess right now, I don't think he would come in and be a starter week 1. I don't think he's going to be a starter week 1. I could see him working his way to that by midseason possibly. And really that could be a saving grace for him, honestly, or saving grace for Anthony Brown if Boss Man's struggling a little bit throughout preseason.
Yeah.
or even Nashawn Wright. But Nashawn Wright's looked great as far as, all the reports we're getting, which is crazy because I wouldn't have guessed in a million years that was going to be the case. I was extremely upset about the pick, and I'm hoping that I get to eat some big crow. So, this right there with Diggs, Jordan Lewis, and Anthony Brown, and Bossman Fat, and Nashawn Wright, we're already 5 deep.
Mm-hmm. And most people think we're only keeping 5.
And that's a ton of competition, and we ain't even a hit on Maurice Kennedy, who opted out last year, and a lot of people were excited about him. We haven't even hit on Reggie Robinson, the most athletic corner in the draft last year that everyone was extremely excited about, thought we got a steal on, and we still don't know what we have in him, and I'm not ready to write him off yet.
You didn't even mention CJ Goodwin, who's arguably the best special teamer in the league.
Right. So you got CJ Goodwin, and then that's probably where I stop as far as the guys that I think are actually going to be on the roster or can make this roster.
You could probably mention Rashard Robinson.
Yeah, you could.
Only because he played a ton last year, but he has that 2-game suspension. So that actually might work in his favor, because when it gets down to 53-man cuts, they don't have to cut him because he's suspended.
Yeah. Now, to be completely honest, like this, the cornerbacks might be number 1 on a lot of people's eyes.
We'll see when we get to my list.
I'll say the way I looked at it is, what position battle I guess was I most excited about seeing. But if I said the position battle is probably going to be the funnest overall for the fan base to watch, it probably would be cornerback, just because there's so many moving pieces. And when you have a second rounder and a third rounder picked back to back at the same position, it's like the Awuzie Lewis thing all over again, I
was gonna make that point. Thank you.
And so it's that same situation all over again, which that alone creates a fun time. So
all right, let's get in these comments for a minute, Lambo, because cornerback open up a lot of questions and comments that people want to talk about. So let's go ahead and hit these first, and I'll let you touch those one first. We'll start off with Jeff. Jeff asked the question, do any chance we go after a veteran for the cornerback position? I see you chasing your liquor right now, but shaking your head no. I definitely agree. I think it's a full house right now. Like, people want to talk about Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
A couple J.C. Jackson might be available for a trade. Stephon Gilmore. We got a full house as is, guys. I think we're gonna roll with what we got.
There's gonna be a little bit of penny pinching going on for a little bit, I feel like.
Especially at that position.
And when you have that much talent at one position, I'm not saying like we have a ton of elite talent battling. I mean, you still don't know. That's the thing. That's the fun thing about all these young players. When you have so many young guys like that, there's bound to be one of them that has a great chance of stepping up and being something.
You're right.
I mean, you got to see what you got. You really got to see what you got. Roll with what you got. Trust the process. Trust your scouts. Trust Will McClay. And roll with the young guys, man. You can't be chasing past.
Makes a great point. We got a bunch of young guys, but what better gauntlet to go through in training camp than Coop, Lamb, and Gallup? If you can go through these 3 guys and not get killed, you won't see a better trio the rest of the year. Maybe Tampa Bay week 1. Other than that, you're seeing the best that you can see in practice every day.
That's another reason I'm not going to hate too bad on anything I hear going on right now, because of how elite our wide receiver core is. I'm gonna wait until I see them playing other guys in preseason.
Exactly.
and then I'll kind of develop more of an opinion on these guys from there.
So yeah, and Rika says she has thoughts, but she wants to listen to what we say before she starts typing. So I'm definitely interested in what you have to say, Rika, and I'll be watching in the comments. Richard Woodard, thank you for joining us as always. Appreciate your support. And and Eric says if he ain't here by camp, we don't want him. Giving up on the young guys early. Eric with DCU. And Jeff says Lamb gonna kill right. Lamb's gonna kill everybody in that slot. Like, year 2 for a receiver, that's almost like a extreme jump. And then you get Dak back too. It's gonna be ugly for whoever's at the slot. So while we're at that point, when training camp starts, guys, if you hear about whoever's in the slot is getting killed, don't jump off the bandwagon because that is
Gonna happen.
Yeah.
Lamb was arguably the best slot wide receiver in the NFL last year, and he was a rookie.
Right.
A rookie with no offseason.
Exactly. With no Dak.
This dude is gonna kill it this year.
So yeah. So guys, just temper expectations from the slot corner, no matter who it is. I know we probably all think it'll be right. If it's right, Brown, whoever, they're gonna get 8 up in practice in training camp. So just expect that.
You know, I think Wright is actually going to end up being great because of the fact of how I reacted against him. It's just the way it's going to work. So, but I'm all for that. Hey, you don't want to be right about that. I want to be wrong about Wright. I want to see the dude be great.
And Geechee says he thinks Brown starts out the gate and they rotate Joseph and Wright in. I kind of disagree with that to an extent, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. And Geechee also says he looks for rookies to play more after week 8. I'll hit on that a little bit now. I can't remember a situation where our rookies have sat till week 8 at the corner position. I mean, I don't want to get into it, but name me a situation where we took a corner in the top 3 rounds and he sat for 5 weeks. It hadn't happened in a long time. I know we all expect it to happen because they're young guys and it's a tough position, but the Cowboys throw them in the deep end and watch them sink or swim. Every one of them since probably 2014. Hell, we did it with undrafted guys last year. We brought them from the practice squad.
Yeah. Which confused me because I was like, why is Reggie Robinson not being thrown in?
Right.
I still don't understand that.
They put him at safety though. So that would be a good example, but they moved him to safety.
Yeah.
And Ed and Eddie said, yeah, like we just said, Lamb's gonna kill everybody. We just expect it. Mendoza says Reggie Robinson will be cornerback too eventually. If he makes the roster, I definitely agree. And Mendoza also backs it up. Diggs, Robinson, and Wright's link has him intrigued for a future cornerback set. And I feel like that's exactly what Dan Quinn and the DB coaches were looking at when they kind of went the direction they went in. Jeff talks about Rashard Robinson. Again, he suspended the first 2 weeks. So technically they don't have to cut him. So that may give him a chance to, God forbid, somebody get hurt week 1 or week 2, and then he comes off of suspension and he's fresh for 2 weeks. They'll find a spot for him, but we hope that doesn't happen. DJ Dog talks about bootleg football, has some nice things to say about Mukwamu. Said moving him to safety his last season in college was a mistake. I agree to that to an extent. What he does well, he does very well. But his feet are awful, and he's stiff for a guy his size. He can try to make up for it a little bit, but it's only so much that'll help you out when you get to the NFL level. Oh man, I see you guys went hard about the corners. I got to catch up. Riker says Brown starts week 1. He's not a starter by week 18. Right, a boss man will take that spot. Boss man wins on talent. Right wins on work ethic. Yeah. That's a great analysis. Again, I'll get into that more once I get to my top 5. I can see it going that way, but my gut just tells me it won't. I just don't buy the hype. I've seen it. I've seen the story play out too many times in Dallas Cowboy land.
You got to remember, the Cowboys caught a lot of negative flack about that pick with Wright. And Jerry is known to let the good news out to make everybody look good.
Yep, exactly.
He's so I wouldn't even doubt that. He's known to pump up some I don't know how you could word it, but pretty much just find a good reasoning to back a decision.
Right.
So I gotta see it.
Yeah, the fact that they're hyping a guy that everybody kind of expects not to be good kind of lets you know they're kind of trying to build some some goodwill before we get in the training camp. So they can say, oh, well, he looked good in OTAs. He's just going through a rough patch right now in training camp, but he'll pick it back up because he showed it to us. That type of talk. And Mendoza says Poole has been his guy. Please elaborate on which Poole you mean. I think you talk about a free agent Poole. And going back to Jeff's comment at the top, talking about Xavier Howard, I don't see that one happening. His big deal right now is money in Miami. And once a guy's complaining about money, he's definitely not coming to Dallas. And Rika saying she looked into a crystal ball to give us that prediction. So I'll definitely make a note of that when they get back to it when the season starts. And Eric saying he's taking the value bet and right. Pretty sure you're on the island. Yeah, if you could go to Vegas and put some money down right now on who will be the starter, and you can put some money down on right, I think if it happened, you make quite a bit. And then Geach is saying, yeah, preseason with our receivers, and then not even the starters. Look at the backups. You got Semi, who's probably going to come in that second unit and be your lead receiver. He can cook some guys with the right quarterback. And then you look at the Giants that we got in undrafted free agency, and I'll go down the list again really quick, and we stay on this topic for quite a while, but it's a great dialogue. So we start off, we go to we got 6'4" Brandon Eagles, 210. Then you come back from that one, and you have Osiris Mitchell, who's 6'4", probably 210. And then you got the guy everybody's already fallen in love with, TJ Vasher, who's like 6'6".
Yes. I remember
6'6", 205.
I remember us talking about that dude like in freaking January.
Right. Yeah, you've been on him for a while, Lambo. I give you that one.
It's because that I caught that catch that I was watching the game and just happened to catch that crazy reception he had, that one-handed snatch, man. I was like, wow, the wingspan on this dude is ridiculous.
Right. And then you got the smallest receiver who may actually be the most physical receiver in Brandon Smith out of Iowa, and he's like 6'2", 210. So all these corners we got are going to have a lot of competition when it comes to training camp. Like you get no breaks this year in training camp. Every guy is bringing it. And then we look at these undrafted guys, they're looking at Malik Turner's probably gone, so that number 6 receiver spot is open. And then they look at Noah Brown, only had 15 catches last year. Cedric Wilson only had 15 catches last year. That doesn't guarantee you a roster spot. So one good training camp and an undrafted and
Aaron Parker, Rhode Island, right?
Yeah. And who's the other guy? Which one? Stephen Guidry? Is that the one we kept? Or
there was Guidry and the other guy. Oh, I think he's gone now.
Okay, so Guidry,
big old Texas A&M dude, 6'4", 6'5". I think he's out.
Yeah, so we got Guidry and Parker competing as well. So it's not impossible to think that a guy who's an undrafted free agent couldn't springboard up to being our number 4 receiver with a good training camp. So these guys are hungry, and all of our corners are going to have their work cut out for them in practice every week. And Jeff says, if Wright is at slot, I'm not watching football this season. He's not.
No, that would not be good.
It wouldn't be good, but the way the cover 3 is schemed, he could almost. I'm gonna stop trying to make up for him. No, it wouldn't be good.
What was his 3-cone?
Yeah, his 3-cone was like a 7, which is awful for him. It was a 7-2, if I'm not mistaken.
There was a 300-something pound lineman that had like around the same exact speed as him. Yeah. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, but I'll put this chart up real quick talking about the cover 3. So when you look at the cover 3, and for the most part, I wish I could put my pointer up here, but if you look at the top where you see the box where it says press match vertical, the guy next to him is normally like your nickel back, and their responsibilities are usually curl flat, just in a simplistic way. So if they just have him doing simple curl flat techniques, he could be okay. But if they start playing more man, where you have to cover a zone and not just like 5-yard spot, he could get in some trouble. But yeah, great comment, Jeff. I definitely agree with that one.
I like that. I like that.
All right.
See,
so
y'all can always expect Bluff to bring some education, man. That's the funnest part about the show.
Football.
He educates me just about every show. I'm not gonna lie.
That's what I love about football. I love the stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, now where am I at? DJ Dog saying Jerry Jones manipulating the narrative. No way. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jack Meeker, I thank you for joining us as always. Thank you for your support. Saying definitely, I agree. It's always trial by fire at the corner position. These guys don't get any leniency when it comes to getting put in the games. And Rika says she's not going to gush over Rice's talent until she sees him pick off number 4.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody sold on his skill set yet. And we talk about all the things that they have against them in terms of these young corners. They have one thing going for them. Our backup quarterbacks are not very good. So they're not going to see a lot of pinpoint accurate passes when it comes to playing with the second and third teams.
Every time I see them say someone had a pick and then I find out it was Danichi, I mean, it don't even count to me anymore at that point. Like, honestly, it just don't count to me. I'm like, so like, I understand where she's coming from there for sure. Like, you start picking off number 4, now I'm going to start taking it a little bit more serious.
So another disclaimer. We talked about the disclaimer about don't get too down on whoever's covering Lamb in the nickel. Don't get too high on whoever's the second or third team cornerback if he gets an interception every week. Because like Lambo says, it's probably from DiNucci, and I could probably go get an interception against DiNucci right now. So yeah, Geechee says this will be his most anticipated preseason, and I don't think they've determined it yet. So we might all get to watch it on Hard Knocks. Everybody else may have that same anticipation you have. And DJ Dog asked the question: who do you guys see as a possible project to switch positions from offense to defense or vice versa? Is there anybody you see like that, Lambo, on this team right now?
Possible project to switch positions from offense to defense.
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head right now.
It seemed like, honestly, like this right off, we're so deep with young talent on both sides of the ball. For that reason alone, I don't see the need or want from the coaching staff to want to do that big of a swap. But as far as who would have the talent if they were to do that,
And man, DJ Dog took one of mine. If I would have to say one, but I have 2 names.
Yeah,
both of them are undrafted guys at positions that are either deep or we don't use, and they could possibly try to make the transition just to get a spot. DJ Dog takes one. Brandon Smith, extremely physical player, plays above the rim, super athletic, but his hands aren't consistent, and he didn't get a lot of catches in Iowa. But he was physical. He would block a defensive end if he had to, and sometimes he wanted to on crackbacks. If maybe we should switch him from football to basketball. How about that one?
You know, this don't necessarily count, but it's always been something that's in my mind, and it's actually related to the topic. So I'm gonna throw it out there. Like, if y'all remember when we had J.J. Wilcox when we drafted from, I think it was Georgia Southern, I believe.
Yep, that's it.
He was a kick-ass running back as well. You go back and find his some of his running back tape from college. Like he looked like a little Marion Barber out there, man. Like that's who he kind of reminded me of. He's always a guy that
some slot back too.
Yeah, and he was always a dude I always kept wishing when he was on the team that they give him a little chance at RB2, RB3, just to give him. I wanted to see him get a couple of carries in the NFL. He never got to it, but that's a dude that I always wish that would have got a little bit of a chance. I think he could have been a better running back in the NFL than the safety, honestly.
Another guy that I would point out is Nick Austin, the fullback, because I think he played a little bit of defense in college very, very early on. To me, fullback and linebacker are pretty interchangeable in terms of like a Sam linebacker. And the fullback position is dying in the league. So if they don't want to keep a fullback and he wants to make the team, maybe he could go to linebacker. And then Jeff points out Bohanna, the fullback. I would love to see him in some goal line.
They did it with Woods some, don't they?
They did it with Woods a little bit, yeah.
I could see that. Every now and then.
Definitely. And Riker says we could put Danucci, he could play man if it's set on easy. And Jeff says he could be the lead water boy. All right, guys. So keep the comments coming. Great dialogue talking about that cornerback position. And I don't know. Was that your number 3 position, Lambo, or number 2? I got so deep into the comments, I lost track of where we were.
3 like Dell.
All right, that was your number 3. So let's go to your number 2 position battle in camp. And that would be the linebacker position. So let us know about the linebacker position and why you think this will be such a big battle.
This one's going to be a little bit sad for me in a way because what I believe is going to happen is Luke Gifford is going to be the odd man out. And I like Luke Gifford, and I've been wanting to see – I feel like he's got a lot of potential. I've been wanting to see what he could bring. I feel like he's going to be a guy that's going to end up going to another team probably at some point this season and end up possibly landing a starting job. We see that happen every so often. Kind of like when guys slip through, like Ward, and we have that happen often. It seems like, but there's just so much talent right ahead of him and young talent that starting from the top, Jalen. Opinions they vary on Jalen. So I mean, we've seen him have a good year. We've seen him have a below average year. We've seen him do things good and do things terrible. The thing about Jalen is like, if we put him in the position that to succeed, the guy can dominate. If they don't put him in a position to succeed, he's going to look bad out there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Maybe they're thinking about, can we save some money here in the next year with Jalen? LVE's injury prone, but we've seen him play great as well. Those guys are still young. We're going to see a lot out of them still. They're going to have a lot of fire in them. We just drafted 2 young, great linebackers. So these guys are feeling some type of way about it. Like, there's nobody that can't tell me that they ain't going to come in here like with an extra edge that we haven't seen from them after you just drafted Parsons and Cox. They're probably feeling a little bit of a certain way about that deep down.
Right.
So it's going to be real fun to see how they come out and how if that steps their play up or if it makes them fall. So, I mean, obviously Parsons, extremely excited about that. I mean, me and you were at one point, were pretty much the only people I remember on the entire internet. Yeah. I feel like saying that they wanted the Cowboys to take Parsons.
Yeah. We can go back to October.
You can go way back. You can go back to October and we were pro Parsons. We had a whole show talking about Parsons and we actually had him as our pick back then. And everybody's like, nah, y'all crazy. But so I'm excited about Parsons. Still am. I always have been. And Cox, I mean, we could a guy that can cover like him at the linebacker position is sweet, bro. I mean, work on the run, work on the tackling, clean up the tackling. But I mean, he's got some real skill as far as pass defense goes, which is another reason the next guy in line, Francis Bernard, we were excited about him, but we haven't really got to see that. So it's only been 1 year and he didn't have an off season. I'm not ready to say let's kick Francis Bernard out of here. I'd be more so ready to kick the injury prone guy out, which is the talented but never available Gifford.
Yep.
But it's going to be a fun battle, and I haven't even brought up Neil yet.
Exactly.
So that's how deep we are at the talent. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. And let me go back through the comments real quick because we had some great comments that were brought up while you were talking. So first off, we'll go back to the top, and where we start at? Like Jeff talking about tired of waiting on Gifford. Definitely, we all saw the potential in preseason. He could be kind of a Donovan Wilson type guy if he had enough time to get a shot, but I think the clock just ran out because of what we drafted. And DCU and Riker both made great comments about why this is even more interesting battle. The difference between the front office and the coaching staff, and then Riker backs him up by saying it's not just rookie guys on rookie contracts battling. Steven and the cap may come into play. And not only the cap, the front office loves Jalen. Like, there's no reason Jalen Smith should have been playing 95% of the snaps every game, except for the fact that the front office loved him. Because anybody who watched the tape could see he was struggling. I don't think he should play more than 40% of the snaps, but history has suggested it's hard for me to see him go from 90% to 30%. Somebody's going to be missing some snaps because of that. And I feel like that, like you guys said, that battle between the front office and the coaching staff is going to really come into play in terms of Jalen.
Yeah.
And Mendoza asked the question, how many do we have? He has 7, and Gifford's out for him. How many do you think we keep, Lambo?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I was at. I had Jalen, LVE. I had Parsons, Cox, Bernard, and Neil. I had 6.
Okay. Yeah, we had the same list. I don't have yours up. But yeah, those are the 6 that Lambo and I both had. LVE, Smith, Parsons, Cox, Neil, and Bernard.
And
all right.
I was going to, being that I had it right next to me,
yeah,
we raised the money for my son's new black helmet for the Junior Pioneers.
Always.
And, being that we was talking about Michael Parsons, I had to get him the signature battle pacifier mouthpiece that Michael Parsons hopefully rocks in the NFL, but he's rocking it at Penn State.
How old is your son, Lambo?
Got the pacifier, 7.
That's a nice ass helmet for a 7-year-old.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. When I was a kid, y'all remember the Thurman Thomas face mask that came across it had the whole piece across the middle?
Yeah.
The whole Thurman Thomas looking junk, man. I had that ugly helmet with the bar straight down the middle. My shoulder pads was like out to here. I couldn't move my arm like this far. Now the kids got my 5-year-old's got the same helmet right next to his. They get the nice helmets. They get the slim shoulder pads. They got the slim pants pads. Like, these kids got it made, man. Compared to back in the day, everybody remembers how big the shoulder pads was when we was kids. Definitely. Now look at this. Number boy they got all the good stuff, man. All the slim fit stuff. It's funny, man. It's funny.
I can remember when I played football in high school, we were able to take the pads from the cornerbacks if we left our pads. That's just how big everybody's pads were.
Yep.
And Jack Meeker and Riker both talking about Jalen, his marketability. The Joneses love that. He has a deal with Jerry, marketing deal with the CEV, and just all the stuff that Jalen does is kind of an ambassador for the Cowboys. Like I know you guys follow social media a lot. Whenever there's a um a signing event or a promotional event or a Cowboys trip, Jalen Smith is going to be involved some way, somehow.
Shout out. Let's see.
Yeah, DJ Dog talks about the days of 3 years and you're out. If by the third year they can't be trusted as a replacement, then draft another guy. We definitely go away from that quite a bit in Dallas Cowboy land. They like to give the guys they draft a much longer leash than some teams do. And because of what you said, that's kind of one of the reasons I feel like some of these guys that people think are going to get cut are going to push some veterans out who've been here 4 or 5 years, because that leash for younger guys is a little bit longer than most people think. All right, Lambo, we're at 56 minutes. I did not expect just your part to take an hour.
Oh, it's all good.
Shouts out to all you guys in the comments with the great comments. When I get to my top 5, Lambo and I have pretty much the same list, so I'll just try to hit some of the points that he didn't hit when I get to mine.
And DCU Uncensored, we held a giant car show in town to raise money for them helmets, for real. So I was like, I wasn't about to buy one. That didn't come from me. I'm just to throw that out there. They did a good job raising money.
All right, Lambo, let's go to your number 1 position battle as we enter training camp. And that would be the tight end position. So tell us about the tight end position and why you think that's the number 1 position battle to watch out for.
That one is just it might not be the consensus number 1 for everybody as a whole in Cowboys Nation. That's just one that I'm kind of looking forward to and real excited about. And the reason is it's probably the only position on the roster where no one is completely 100% sure about who's going to fill out that entire position at 1, 2, and 3. I don't think that we could say for certain. I mean, Blake Jarwin obviously had complete control of that starting job when he went out with that injury. Yeah. We seen the potential, the 100-yard game, the 3 touchdowns, all that stuff that we got so excited about. We thought he was ready to blow up, be the top 5 guy. Dalton Schultz comes in, and I'm like, the world is ending this guy. I had the same thoughts on Schultz as I had on Tristan Hill. I was like, this guy is still here. And ironically enough, Stash Man drafted him in our fantasy league, and we all busted his balls about it. Yep. And then he turned out to be like a top 5 tight end in fantasy or something like that. But Schultz, I mean, the dude really showed that he could possibly be a starting tight end. I mean, I'm not ready to say Blake Jarwin is just going to come out and be the starting tight end. Schultz played extremely well. I believe he was in the top couple guys in yards after catch among the tight end position as well. He was really good, man. He had a very solid season. He played like a top 5, top 7 tight end, you know, and the guy's still got a ton of room to grow. I mean, we got to think this is the first time he's actually had the chance to lead that tight end spot. So, and then when it comes down between those guys, Jarwin and Schultz is going to be a fun battle to watch. And then however that fills out, we're still not done there. There's going to be a battle between Sprinkle and McKeon is what I think is going to be at that 3rd position. You had Sprinkle, I had McKeon, and that's going to be fun to watch. So, I mean, not only are you looking at who's going to win, who's going to be at 1st and 2nd, you're also going to who's winning that tight end 3 battle. So the whole tight end position as a whole is going to be a battle, and that's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
So since you think McKeon's going to take the spot, I'll answer this one about Sprinkle. I don't think he has a chance to get the number 2 spot, but I will say this. He has more NFL starts than Schultz and Jarwin combined. So when you're an NFL veteran and clearly somebody liked you enough for them to bring you here as a free agent, you do have a shot to make the team and get a number 2 spot. I don't think it'll happen, but just from an experience level, it's a possibility. And Mendoza kind of back you up. Yeah, definitely one of our strongest rooms. Going to be a great battle to watch. Jeff thinks Schultz wins out. I'm actually agreeing with you, Jeff. I think Schultz wins out as well.
I'm leaning towards Schultz as well.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of the competition. You really don't know.
So where's Jarwin's guaranteed money at? He's got 2 years left on the contract that he signed. He signed a 3-year deal. I think he's got 2 years left. I believe. I could be wrong on that. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he's got 2 years left. I just don't know what the guaranteed
He has
money.
3 years left because I think he just signed his deal last year. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, right. So it's an extension onto what so
Yep, exactly.
all right, so he's got 3 years left. So I mean, if Schultz continues to play at a high level and McKeon or Sprinkle really show something, could we be looking at another way to possibly save some on the cap? Would that be in consideration?
I'm looking at Blake Jarwin's contract right now.
Okay.
He signed a 4-year, $22 million deal. His signing bonus was only $4 million, but $3 million of his contract this year is guaranteed. His contract, his base salary is $3.5 million. $3 million of his guaranteed. So he has a $6 million dead cap hit this year.
Okay.
He's not going anywhere this year.
No, this year is playing out for sure.
Next year, he has no guarantees. So if they keep him, his cap hit will be almost $7 million. If they cut him, they'll save almost $5 million.
So this is where it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
This is where it kind of also keeps me leading towards Schultz winning the job. You want to find out you got the guy before you lose your guy. So I feel like Schultz will have every opportunity to show that he can be the guy so that they feel comfortable going into offseason, letting Jarwin go and saving a little bit of money on that cap.
Stephen Jones is just like this.
He's
I
going,
can save $5 million.
Schultz does.
Right.
So if you're sitting there and half of the fan base don't even know off the top of their head which one they think should be the starter, that alone tells me that Jarwin ain't worth that much more money than Schultz at this point.
Right.
But Schultz still got to be paid, I believe. So
I believe you're right. Let's look up his contract real quick.
So that's where it gets interesting. So Cowboys sitting there talking with Schultz, hitting him up privately on the phone. Yo, so Jarwin took blah blah blah. Are you willing to take this? There's a car dealership, Steven, on the phone, and that could be what decides it, really.
Yeah, Schultz is in the last year of his rookie deal. So another thing to look for, it probably won't happen in training camp, but at some point during the year, Dalton Schultz may get an extension.
That was what I was going to say next. Extend him now, because if he does win the tight end one spot, he's probably going to have a big year.
Right. So if he gets that extension, and then you look at, they gave Blake Jarwin a $4 million signing bonus. Let's assume they do the same thing for Schultz. So you're telling me we can save $5 million by cutting Jarwin, and we can give Schultz a $4 million signing bonus.
We're still saving $1 million.
We're still saving $1 million. And again, that signing bonus could be allocated over 4 years. So really you're saving like $4 million.
Don't be surprised if we see Schultz get extended and Jarwin's gone next year.
Yep.
And you heard it here.
Right here on the Cowboys Zone. Jack Meeker, definitely, his blocking has to improve, or Schultz will take over. And Riker talks about Jeremy Sprinkle. If he's reaching to that BSU playbook, and don't forget, because I talk about this all the time, the importance of special teams. Jeremy Sprinkle has played at least 50% of special teams since college. That's why he's here. That's why he got his foot in the door. But on top of that, he has 30 starts at only 26. So there's a place for him on this team. So just something to be aware of. We could easily be going into next year with Schultz, Sprinkle, and McKeon. And to be honest, I wouldn't be upset about that. What about you, Lambo?
No, special teams is key. And you think about the caliber of special teams coach we have, it's something that they're going to listen to him.
Yeah.
He, so it's definitely very important and something that we haven't been the best on in recent years as well. So it's something to definitely take, extremely serious. So I'm with you. I'm with you there, and I could see that being a reason a guy like him, could edge a guy like McKeon out.
And then you look at the undrafted free agency. We have a guy like the kid out of Michigan. Let me see if I have him pulled up. The big Nick Eubanks, the big tight end out of Michigan that runs like a 4.5. He's 6'5", super athletic, didn't get a lot of reps. This could be the type of kid they keep on the practice squad. And
Charlie's fucking crazy.
He's your Blake Jarvin replacement, because remember, Blake Jarvin was a converted wide receiver who didn't get a lot of reps in college, and they brought him in the practice squad for 1 year, and then the next year they brought him on the 53.
That's why I was laughing. Charlie's crazy, man. But I appreciate it. You're gonna give me a big hit, Charlie.
All right, guys. So let me go ahead and go through my top 5 really quick. And what I tried to do was, with my top 5, I went with kind of the unpredictability at the bottom of the roster, because, again, in my opinion, the biggest battles are always who's going to get those last 2 or 3 spots. So basically, I kind of focused at the bottom of the roster and how volatile it was in terms of who's going to get those spots. Now, this one, I kind of went off the rails a little bit, because this is, in my opinion, the most important position in football. So it's always an important position. And I put number 5 as quarterback. Now, I know, and Shane, I'm not willing to go up on Jarwin long-term either, but you got to look at our GM, and he's all about the dollar.
Right now, I'm thinking about Dak got the payday.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be some penny pinching going on where they feel it can be done without losing too much talent at the position.
People want to keep Michael Gallup. You got to go thin somewhere. That $5 million can go towards his contract.
Yeah. Although I still have my thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's for another show. We'll probably hit on that one next week. So top 5 position battles. Again, I only put it here because it's the most important position in football. If something happens to Dak, we really need a guy that can come in and compete. And I feel like just for that reason that the battle is important, I still feel like there may be a guy who's not on this team right now who could possibly get that number 2 spot. And I feel like that makes the battle even more interesting in training camp, because as much as people are all on the Garrett Gilbert bandwagon after one good game, which I love them too.
Yeah, it's still scary though, man. Like I'm excited about it too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm big on Gilbert, but
I'm big on him too.
Sometimes there's a fluke game. I mean, you only seen one game. So
yeah, exactly. And they always say it takes at least 3 games to get tape on a guy, and we've only seen 1. So what happens once they get 3 games of tape on him? Is he going to revert back to the same guy who wasn't in the NFL last year?
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know.
Real quick, is just in case you know, is Hundley a free agent?
I believe he's still a free agent. Yes,
that would be a kind of guy I would like to see battling for our number 2 spot. So Brett Hundley.
I agree. And I feel like if something happens in camp and these guys don't perform, I think that's the first guy they bring in. I'm still sticking with that. And Jeremiah looks like a new name, so thank you for joining us as well. I see you tuning in from YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to my channel, Bluff City Cowboy. Also, make sure you find Lambo's social media at Cowboys Y'all. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe to both channels. Support both halves of the Cowboy Zone. And great question. He asked, does the cap increase next year? If I'm not mistaken, I believe the cap for 2022 is already set at like 210 million. It's like 208, 209, something like that. So yeah, the cap is gonna increase. But because of the deal we signed with Dak this year, we've already kind of eaten most of that up just before we even get to that point. And Shane Odom says he's hearing rumors about the Cowboys bringing in Nick Foles. As a backup quarterback, I wouldn't be against that at all.
Hell no.
He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I mean, I can't think of a situation where he was the backup and he didn't have great games. As the starter, he looked awful.
Yeah.
But as the backup, he comes in and he puts in work 2, 3, 5 games. The question would be, how does the money look?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack Meeker, Brett Hundley's the guy we kind of talking about. They brought him in for a look. That's one of the guys that we're thinking about. And DJ Dog saying position battle, safety, DT, swing tackle, corner, 6th wide receiver. I don't know if you had a chance to look at my notes or not, because that looks really familiar. But yeah, let me go through my notes real quick. So that's the number 5 position. And we'll move on to number 4. We're at 1 hour and 11 minutes. Everybody who's still with us, thank you for rocking with us. I see the numbers have actually gone up a little bit since we started. So
yeah, share if you care, and let's keep this thing going, man.
Yeah,
share if you care, share if you dare.
Exactly. Keep sharing, keep interacting, because you guys really fuel the show every week. Lambo and I were really thinking about
share.
Is that the baby's rattle?
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was at first. But
yeah. If it hits 20, I'll shake it again.
But yeah, Lambo and I was planning on going for an hour. We're at 1 hour 12, and Lambo just finished. So you guys been bringing the heat with the comments tonight.
That's the way it is. Like, more engagement, more viewers, more shares,
right?
More content. Like, we'll just keep going. Just keep going. You gotta feed us. We're like Zeke in here. You gotta feed us. You gotta feed us. And thanks so much, Jeremiah. Appreciate it, man. Really do. Really do.
Appreciate that. And keep coming back with the comments too. We like to shout out our supporters. All right, so let me go to the number 4 position battle. And for me, that's yours, my fault. Mine is defensive end, not defensive tackle.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Now, for me, I look at, again, like I said, when I look at the position battles, I look at the bottom of the roster. And when I look at the bottom of this roster, I know we got D-Law. I know we got Golston, who's pretty much guaranteed, and Gregory. That's 3. I don't know if we're keeping 5 or 6, but I don't know who 4, 5, or 6 are. I know Mendoza counts Basham as a linebacker. I think he's more of an end. We still got Dorrance Armstrong. We still got the undrafted free agent we got last year, and his name just slipped my mind. Rondell Carter. We still got Bradley Anahu. Everybody's in love with. None of these guys are secured a spot. And I feel like I could just as easily see Dorrance Armstrong be our number 4 defensive end. I could just as easily see him get cut. Same thing for Nah. Same thing for, honestly, Basham as well, and for Rondell Carter. I have no clue what's going to happen from 4 to 7. And that's why I think makes this competition interesting. But the reason I have it low is because in my mind, I just personally feel like Dorrance Armstrong's spot is secure because of special teams. I feel like Basham's spot is secure. And I really feel like the bottom of that list is pretty much set. But the chance of the competition is what makes this an interesting position battle. And I see we got a couple guys vying for Cowboys own gear. Lambo's working hard with the presses over there. So if you want something, go see him. Him and his wife are always cooking up interesting designs. So Lambo we always share social media, so you guys can link up with him.
Yeah, we can make it work. I can't do nothing too crazy right now, but the Cowboys Zone logo that you see on the bottom right side of the screen right now, I could definitely get that Cowboys Zone logo on a white tee, any size. If anybody is interested. So just hit up the Cowboys Y'all page, send a DM, and we can make it work.
Jeremiah, another great question. I don't know if you caught last week's show. I did a full hour and a half on nothing but special teams. So if you're interested in special teams, make sure you go back and go to my page and check out the show I did, because I did a full breakdown of all the special teams units, the most important positions of each unit, and what guy played those positions last year. And then I also talked about some of the guys that we're vying for at the bottom of the roster and how much they played in special teams. And an interesting note that I saw about Bradley Anai, he did not play a snap of special teams after week 6. That's interesting, and that's scary if you're a Bradley Anai fan. Because let me see if I got my chart here. I talked about this last week. I don't think I have it. Crap. But last week I talked about there are 4. I do have it. There are 4 types of players that make up an NFL roster. Number 1, you got your starters. Number 2, you got your backups. Number 3, you got your high draft picks that a team wants to get a year or 2 to look at. And then you got guys that play a lot of special teams. So in my opinion, if you don't fit these 4 categories, you're not on the 53-man roster. So again, Bradley and I did not play special teams. He didn't play at all after week 6. The only way he makes this team, in my opinion, is if he can get a backup spot. So to me, he's either defensive end number 4 or he's off the team. Because Basham plays special teams. Rondell Carter plays special teams. Dorrance Armstrong plays a lot of special teams. So he either has to pick his special teams game up in one offseason, or he has to secure that number 4 defensive end spot. And Jeff asked a question about Everson Griffin. I don't think I had Everson Griffin up there. If I did, it was a mistake. Jeff, I don't have Everson Griffin up here. 97. That's that's Rondell Carter. Rondell Carter is 97.
I was about to say that ain't Everson Griffin.
Yeah. Rondell Carter is 97. He took the spot after Griffin got traded because, again, Rondell Carter wasn't on the team at the beginning of the year. He was cut. He was picked up by the Colts on their practice squad. When Everson Griffin got traded, the Cowboys re-signed Rondell Carter, and he played every special teams from like week 9 to week 16. And again, the opposite of that, Bradley Anai did not play a snap of football past week 6. Very interesting shift in terms of playing time. But again, we got a training camp this year. These guys get a chance to prove themselves on the field. So very interesting at the bottom of the roster with those guys. And Jeremiah, thank you. I appreciate you checking that out. And yeah, I have Basham as an end. He could be considered a linebacker, but I just have him as an end. And Shane Odom asked about running backs as Zeke lost a step. I mean, I think Lambo and I both agree that the running back position is set. Zeke, Pollard, and the kid from South Carolina.
Dowdle?
Yeah, Dowdle, Rico Dowdle. So, yeah, I think that position's set. We all know those are 3 guys, so we don't really even talk about that battle. If you guys want to talk about running backs, again, Dallas Cowboys Uncensored had a great show with Marcus Mosier today. They talked about the running back position, and Marcus made a very bold prediction where he said, watch the Cowboys about week 5 or week 6 and look at Tony Pollard and see if his snap counts increase dramatically. So I don't want to give the whole interview away. So if you haven't done so already, go follow Eric and Charlie. Go follow Dallas Cowboys Uncensored and go check out that interview they just did with Marcus today. And Mendoza says Basham and RG fit that description. I think that has value for DQ. Yeah, definitely. And I keep saying this. I feel like Anai has to be the number 4 defensive end. If he's not ahead of everybody other than Gregory, Lawrence, and Golston, I don't see him having a spot on this team. All right, guys. So let me go to my number 3 position. I'm sorry.
I agree, Jack. I agree. That'd be awesome. Okay.
The way my bank account is set up this year.
When mine said I'm
Right.
already, duh, I'm late on the mortgage. Y'all
When I thought it was gonna be in Dallas, you were gonna see me there. I was gonna find a way to get to Dallas, but Oxnard, my pockets ain't ready for that trip yet.
Hey, if the Cash App blows up, I'll be there. But until then, I'm stuck here in Tennessee.
Man, the Cash App would have to explode for me to be able to get to Oxnard this year. Now, next year, if I got time to save up a little bit, I might be able to move some things around. I'm still trying to go to a game this year. Not even thinking about a training camp. So
yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make a game this year, unfortunately.
I'm trying my hardest, but the ticket prices are ridiculous right now. The last time I went to a game, I think I paid like $260, and I was 13 rows from the field, kind of in the end zone.
Maybe, and it's a huge maybe. I would be happy if we could even pull off a live show together when this season, possibly. And everybody's like, "Oh, y'all are both in Tennessee." The crazy thing is that about people don't realize is how wide Tennessee is. So like I'm in Northeast Tennessee, like literally like I could drive 30 minutes to North Carolina, 30 minutes to Kentucky, and 30 minutes to Virginia. Like I'm in this Northeast little bubble up here. Marcus is like all the way to the west and the south end. Southwest, I'm the Northeast, and he's in Memphis, and I'm up here at this little tip. We are literally like a 7.5-hour drive apart in the same state.
I'm a quarter mile from the Mississippi border where I live at right now.
Yeah, and
that's how far south I am.
Yeah, you're like all the way down there, and I'm literally all the way by Kentucky, North Carolina, like barely in Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm 2 minutes from Mississippi and 5 minutes from Arkansas. Yeah, and Jeff. Every trip I've been on, Jeff been there too. But yeah, we pay like $275 to sit 10 rows from the field. Now you got to pay $400 just to get in the 300 section.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
The last game I went to is like I think the worth of the ticket was probably $400 or something. It was up there.
Yeah, and Charlie, I don't even want to know the price because I don't want to cry on camera. But 2 tickets for a primetime game, I know you had to refinance the mortgage for that one. I know you put some money out for it.
Tennessee's like he's
a sideways California.
It kind of is. That's pretty accurate.
And that's not even considering the mountains you got to drive through on your end to get here.
Yeah, that makes it a lot further than it even looks because, it looks this long, but I'm going like this.
Right.
Like for like half the state, and then it starts to finally just sizzle out.
How far are you from Nashville, Lambo? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
5 hours.
Wow, you're 5 hours from Nashville?
I am closer to Atlanta, 4 hours. Atlanta is 4 hours to my south. Charlotte is 3 hours to my east. I'm closer to DC than I am to you.
Wow, because I'm 3 hours from Nashville, less than 3, really.
I could get to DC before I can get to Memphis, and I'm in Tennessee. So, yes, you are correct. I love it.
It is a beautiful state.
It is beautiful, and I absolutely love. I love where I'm at. Beautiful mountains and stuff. I love it.
All right, we're at 1:24. Gonna try to get out here in under 2 hours. So let me go to my number 3 position battle, and I feel like this one is very interesting as well because the bottom of it, we've had quite a few debates about this, and I went offensive tackle specifically.
Okay.
Now again, we talk about the free agent Ty Nsekhe. We talk about Terrence Steele. We talk about Brandon Knight. Those are the 3 names we all know. Then you throw in the drafted guy, Josh Ball. He's a 4th round pick. Those guys are pretty much guaranteed a spot, in my opinion. So now, let me just backtrack a little bit. Lambo, how many offensive linemen do you think we keep in total on the 53-man roster?
If I was a betting man, I would say 10.
10.
But no less than 9.
I don't think I want to do the talk you want to do about Ball Riker, but I'll bring them up. So, Lambo, you said we're going to keep 10 offensive linemen. All right. We got 5 starters off top. That's 5 spots. You got Connor McGovern. That's 6 spots.
Mm-hmm.
I got 5 tackles only listed on the screen right now. And this isn't all the offensive linemen. So it's going to be very interesting once you get to that offensive tackle position.
Yeah.
You got the big kid. I can't even pronounce his last name. Arlason or
Alakarn. I can't say it either.
The big kid from the International Development League. He was guaranteed a spot last year. Not a 53-man or practice squad spot. He just guaranteed a spot last year. This year, he has to earn a spot. 6'7". I think he got to about 310. They say he's very athletic. They may want to keep him at the end of the roster if they think they want to lose. They may lose him. You got Ball, who I feel like could probably be your swing tackle by the time the season starts. He's a big guy. He's athletic. He's got the off-field stuff. But if I'm looking at it from an on-field situation, I think he has a good shot to make the team. And then you look at the Todd Nasecki, Terrence Steele, then Knight. I personally think Knight and Steele are secure. I've had this discussion a couple weeks now. You don't give up on young offensive tackles. That is the second toughest position on the offensive line. So if we cut one of these guys, they'll get picked up in 10 seconds. No question. No matter how bad people think Steele played last year, if Terrence Steele got cut, he's on the NFL roster tomorrow, and he's probably somebody's swing tackle.
Yeah.
If Jeremy Parnell can get a big contract from Dallas,
I was gonna bring him up.
And if Chaz Green is still in the NFL,
right?
And I believe he was a starter last year for the Colts or the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken. If Chaz Green can still be a starter in the NFL, there's no way you can't tell me Terrence Steele won't be on somebody's roster if he got cut from Dallas. I'll bring up Jeff's favorite player on offensive line because I didn't put him on the screen. Mendoza, I think you're talking about Mitch Hyatt, the All-American left tackle out of Clemson, who was an undrafted guy. He got hurt last year. I didn't even bring him up in the conversation. But that's another guy who could possibly get a spot if he has a good training camp. So there's like 7 tackles that we have available on this team and probably only 3 spots at most. Now, I personally think Brandon Knight may end up being a guard and Connor McGovern kind of be a center guard. Hey, Mendoza brought it up, Jeff. I didn't bring it up this time. I didn't even put it on the screen because I was definitely going to put that Clemson helmet up there with Mitch Hyatt. But, yeah, we got like 7 guys competing for that tackle spot, and it's probably at most 3 tackle spots that we'll keep on the roster. And it's going to be a very interesting battle. If the international kid has a great training camp, that makes this conversation be even tougher. Because from an athletic standpoint, he may be the most athletic tackle that we have. And if he backs that up with play and he's only, 21, 22 years old, that makes it even tougher. And great question, Mendoza. I think Farniok is a guard. I think he'd be more likely to play center than tackle. And I don't think he can really play center. What about you, Lambo? What do you think about Matt Farniok, the 6th round pick out of Nebraska?
I think I agree. I'd have to agree with you there, but I think he's gonna be more of a guy that slips to the practice squad
Yeah.
that they try to develop.
Right.
And if there's an injury or two, he might sneak on to that 53.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah. And let me backtrack a little bit, because when I look at the tackle spot, I don't even count Mitch Hyde, because if he got cut tomorrow, I don't think anybody will pick him up. Ty Nsekhe, Terrence Steele, Brandon Knight. All three of those guys are NFL players. If they get cut, there's no chance they make the practice squad. And then if the big kid from Mexico, if he has a good camp, he pushes one of them out. And Josh Ball, there's no chance he gets cut if he keeps his nose clean. So that's 4 legitimate tackles on this roster, plus a 5th one. If he has a good camp, he makes it difficult.
Oh, 2 questions back to back from Jeff and Mendoza. Same thing.
Great question. I mean, that's if
McGovern.
If the question was the position I'm most concerned about going to training camp, that would be number 1. I don't know what's going to happen at backup center. I think you could pretty much slot Tyler B as the starter and Connor McGovern as the backup. That's all we got. And we got to hope they can compete and perform.
Yeah, Jack.
Yeah, Looney's still out there. But I really think Looney's waiting for that injury to happen. Because if that injury happens and Looney's still sitting out there, he's going to get double what he get if he signed right now, because somebody's going to be desperate for a center who can come in and give you quality snaps. Every year, there's a player or two who kind of sits out and rides the wave, and their value increases with the injury. And I think Joe Looney's one of those guys this year that's going to happen to. I would not be shocked if he's gotten an offer from 10 teams, and he's probably turned them down. Look at how he plays. He doesn't have to be in excellent shape. He could sit at home on his couch and come do what he does. He's 350 almost. He's just be big, strong, and smart, and not get killed, and he'll get a job. Yeah, and Jeff, I think we definitely need to bring in a veteran. I like the Brandon Jones kid that we signed as an undrafted free agent. I don't think he has a chance, but I like him. So maybe he can come on the practice squad and maybe he can get his experience up a little bit. So yeah, definitely. Matt Farniok, like Lambo said, practice squad guy. Somebody gets hurt, he'll get pulled up. All right, let me go to my number 2 position, get out of here real quick. I see we're still holding pretty steady with the viewers. So guys, if you're still there, if you haven't done so already, make sure you like it. Make sure you share it, even though we're about to get out of here. Somebody may want to catch this tomorrow or later on tonight.
True.
And also make sure you like this, because your engagement helps us keep the nation growing. All right, so my number 2 position, and I think Lambo had as number 4. I have it as number 2. And this is the defensive tackle position. And appreciate that, Jack Meeker, as always. So I got a couple of interesting pictures up here. And Rico brought this name up before. It's a name nobody talks about, and that's Carlos Watkins. Again, this could be my Clemson fanhood showing his head. But on a roster with Dexter Jackson and all those other highly touted first-round Clemson defensive tackles, Carlos Watkins led all of them in sacks at Clemson. I personally feel like he's a victim of being a 4-3 penetrating defensive tackle, getting drafted by a 3-4 team and getting played out of position. When I look at what Dan Quinn did this offseason, he wanted big, strong, penetrating defensive tackles with long arms. Carlos Watkins fits all of those measurables. Now, I feel like nobody's talking about him because most fans don't know who he is, and he was an afterthought in Houston. But don't count him out too fast. I think he has a chance to, if not make the roster, make it difficult for a guy like Bohanna to get that last roster spot. And this is why I kind of disagree with other people. I don't think just because his size, Bohanna is guaranteed a spot. I talked about this ever since the draft. When I look at what they did in free agency and the draft, I'm playing a game of one of these things is not like the other. I look at what they did with Urban, Watkins, Osa, Golston, and Watkins, and I'm looking at 6'4", 34-inch arm guys. And then I look at Bohanna, who's 340. He's got the long arms, but he's not known for being a penetrator. Either he's going to be the odd duck who makes the team because he's different, or he's going to be the guy who gets phased out because he doesn't fit what everybody else does. So it could go either way for Bohanna. So I don't want to say he's not going to get a spot. I just don't think he will. Yeah, and if you guys don't know already, we got Charlie and Eric joining us next Thursday. We're going to play 10 questions. We got 10 questions. We're going to talk about Cowboys related news, and we're all going to give our responses. So make sure you guys check that out. Sorry, Lambo, you about to say something?
Oh no, I was just saying, shit, I could rock the tank again, and I might be able to get Dale to throw the mullet on. Damn it, Charlie, she said.
And Reich, a great point. You rate 31st against the run. You get a free agent from the 32nd ranked team against the run. It's awful on paper, but again, he fits the traits that Dan Quinn has done throughout the entire free agency and the draft. That's not something you can just dismiss. And I think we all kind of talked about it before. I think it's Bohanna and Hill. Those are the two guys that are different from everybody else. So if you get to the bottom of the roster, one or both of those guys will kind of be the odd man out. The day we drafted, that Sunday night, you guys can go check it. I said on this show, looking at this roster right now, there's one odd duck, and that's Antoine Woods. There's no way he makes it to training camp, and he was cut 2 days later. I didn't think it would be that quick, but I definitely saw that one, and I see the same thing with Bohanna. And on top of that, he plays a position that's not really valued by a lot of teams. He'll be the easiest one to get to the practice squad. But again, you just don't know. I don't know who the number 1 3 tech is. So we have a lot of questions to answer outside of Urban. And because of that reason, just because I don't know who the starting 3 tech is or who the backups are, that makes this a very interesting position battle when we go into camp. All right, so we'll go to my number 1 position battle, and then we'll get out of here. And I think you guys all kind of know that one. I talk about it quite a bit, and everybody gives me a hard time about it. But the number 1 position battle for me is that cornerback position. So let me go ahead and throw my usual Anthony Brown hate out there and get you guys comments on it. Let me go back through my same scenario. I just talked about this. The makeup of a roster has 4 different positions. You got your starters, you got your backups, you got your high draft picks, and you got your special teamers. If I follow my logic 100%, CJ Goodwin is guaranteed a spot. Trayvon Diggs is guaranteed a spot. Jordan Lewis is guaranteed a spot. That's special teams starter. Now, high draft picks. Nashawn Rice guaranteed a spot. That's 4. And Boss Man Fast guaranteed a spot. That's 5. Now, that's 5. If I assume that Anthony Brown is not going to be a starter, which I don't think he is. He no longer fits any of these criteria. That's one thing. Number two, if I follow my criteria, Reggie Robinson fits two of them. He was a high draft pick last year, so that could possibly buy him another shot. And if you watched my special team show last week, you would see that when Reggie Robinson finally got on the field, he played in every major special team spot on the big four: kick, kickoff return, punt return. Wherever CJ Goodwin was, Reggie Robinson was the opposite to him in that same important spot. That I just can't ignore that. And for that reason, I think Reggie Robinson gets one of those spots. Then you throw in a guy like Kennedy, where you don't know what he may do coming into camp. He could be a special teams demon. He could come in and be our number 4 corner. You just don't know. We talked about Rashard Robinson a little bit. Somebody liked him last year to play him an extensive amount of time, even over Reggie Robinson and guys like that. Somebody likes him. Maybe he could stick around. You never know. I just feel like that battle is going to be very interesting at the bottom. On top of that, again, I have no clue who our number 2 corner is going to be. The money says Jordan Lewis, but Boss Man Fat could come in training camp and have a good camp. And like we just talked about, our corners get thrown to the fire. Nashawn Wright could be our number 2. Our corners get thrown to the fire. People talk about, I know Geechee was here a while ago saying 5, 6, 8 weeks. Let's go back to 2017. Our starters were Brandon Carr and Mo Claiborne. What happened that offseason? We cut both of them. We signed Jordan Lewis. We drafted Jordan Lewis, Chidobe Awuzie, and Xavier Woods. And who were our 3 starting corners, Lambo, that year? Xavier Woods, Jordan Lewis, and Jordan Lewis and Chidobe Awuzie. Those were our 3 starting corners in 2017.
Yeah.
All rookies. And our 4th corner was Anthony Brown, who was a 6th round pick from the year before. So we can't say they don't throw our young corners into the fire, because they do it all the time. Trayvon Diggs last year, he started day 1 as our best corner, as a 2nd rounder. So I know people say, you know what, Boss Man Fat may get worked in slowly. I believe Boss Man Fat was drafted higher than Trayvon Diggs. Am I right or wrong on that, Lambo?
Boss Man Fat was
Diggs was 51.
51 and he was 44?
44, 45, yeah.
I believe something 40, yeah. So yeah.
So Kelvin Joseph was a higher draft pick, but we assume he's going to get 8 weeks to get acclimated, and Trayvon Diggs was thrown into the fire from the first day. It doesn't fit the logic of how the team operates. As much as I like to see him get slow played, that's not what we do. That's not what we do in Dallas. Especially if we're talking about the money aspect on top of that, where Anthony Brown, if you cut him, you save a couple $1 million, and you got cheap replacements already on the roster.
Yeah. If he's not worlds ahead better and you can save money, why not?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, true. That's also true.
Like I said, as he came in, that's definitely true. I give you that one. I don't really consider college experience a lot in terms of NFL readiness at that position. There are certain positions I consider it at. Cornerback to me is not one of those positions. Either you can cover or you can't. If you need help with your technique and stuff like that, we can work on that as the season progresses. But as a cornerback, either you have good feet or you don't. You have good ball skills or you don't. You have good speed or you don't. Stepping with false steps and stuff like that, that's stuff we can work on during the season. It doesn't take 8 weeks for that. If you can cover, you can play week 1. That's just my thing. And I was going to get to that, Jeff. I want to finish my Anthony Brown rant so that y'all can come in and blast me. And Mendoza talks about Burton. Yeah, Mendoza talks about Burton. Burton has a shot. He did get some quality playing time last year. And thank you, Jack Meeker, bringing this up, talking about my big slot. I talked about this when I did the episode talking about the cover 3. I still think we're going to do more big slot this year if they do a pure cover 3 where the slot guy just does curl flat and he just needs to have long arms and good awareness. And Riker, I can't disagree with this. He is boom or bust. I talked about this during the scouting time. Boss Man Fat at some points looked like the best corner in college, and at some points he looked like he never played the position before. So there's a lot of boom or bust in his game. But I just feel like, do you have good feet? Do you have good speed? Do you have good ball skills and awareness? They'll put that on the field and then try to work the other stuff out in the future. Anthony Brown does nothing special to me that says he can keep a spot over some of these guys. But Riker, you make great points I can't disagree with. I think he's more boom than bust. I only think he's bust if he doesn't commit to the game. But if he comes into training camp and he's engaged, I don't think there's any chance he's not at least our number 3 corner. What about you, Lambo? I know I don't know if I've ever had this discussion with you. Some people say he may sit out the first 5 weeks. I think he's gonna get put in there pretty quickly. Where are you on that?
I don't see him being a second rounder sitting out to start the season. I think that he'll. I could see them not maybe putting him out there immediately as the starter, but at some point, very early on, he's gonna get thrown in the fire a little bit. They're gonna see what they got. He's got the talent. You just got to put him out there and see what he's got. So I think early on he'll be out there.
Yeah,
a pretty decent amount.
And Charlie's taking over the Dallas Cowboy Uncensored page now, and he's saying his hot take is Anthony Brown will make the team. It's not much of a hot take. He more than likely he's gonna make the team. I just don't see it.
It's more of a bold prediction that he won't make the team, I guess.
I guess so. I guess we can call it a bold prediction. I'm just looking at the makeup of the team and how they do things. I don't think it's bold, but the rest of the fan base will say it's bold. And Marlo, thank you for joining as always. He asked the question, who will be the 4th? I don't know who will be the 4th, and that's why I have it as my number 1 position battle.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what makes it a great battle.
I think Diggs and Lewis are pretty much secured between 1 through 3. I don't know who the number 2 guy, the number 3, so on and so forth. The only thing I do know is Diggs is number 1 and Goodwin is number 6 because of special teams. 2 through 5, I have no clue what's going to happen. And then some people think we're only going to keep 5 corners. I think we have to keep 6. And Mendoza asked the question. He asked the question on Star Gang. 2 players fans have talked about, Joseph and Cox. Which one do y'all think will project to be better there at safety? Lambo, I'll let you take that one first, because if one of them had to go to safety, which one do you think will be better, a better fit? If either. Because I don't think either will make a fit. But
I feel like Cox is going to be playing more of a strong, wouldn't he?
Yes.
And Joseph will be more of a free.
Right.
So it really depends on how you think about Wilson and KZ. If one of them is not performing well at all,
Right.
that would kind of help make that decision a little easier. But I don't know. I don't see Joseph I'm not with the Joseph safety talk. I don't like it. At least not yet.
Yeah.
Man, give him 2 years. If he's if he's a struggle bus after his second season, then I'll start talking a little bit about it with him. So I'd feel a little bit better about Cox. Traditionally, I'd like my linebackers to be very solid, tackling the ball carrier.
Mm-hmm.
That is something Cox has had some struggles with.
Yeah.
He's great in pass coverage.
Yeah.
I would lean towards Cox
Mm-hmm.
if I was going between the two.
Right. All right. Let me give you my rant on this one because Boss Cowboy takes a lot of flack on this one, and I know Mendoza brought up Star Gang. I know where they lie on this, and also I know where Jay Tuck lies on this when he talks about Joseph. Joseph is not a safety. Period. He's just not a safety. When you look at the safety position, and people get upset when you say safety because they think both of them are the same duties, they're not. Strong safety and wheel linebacker are pretty much the same in terms of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You cover your little 5-yard zone, curl flat, out routes. You contain on the front side if the play's coming your way. You contain on the back side if it's running away from you. Wheel linebacker, strong safety, pretty much the same thing. The only difference between the two is if every once in a while a team tries to switch things up and they'll let their strong safety play more of a free safety role to kind of make the offense kind of stay on the toes a little bit and let the free safety play down. That rarely happens. Outside of that, the strong safety and the wheel linebacker play almost identical roles. Cornerback and free safety, those are night and day positions.
Like George has said on the show, George Teague.
Right. I wish I could pull up the sound bite George had, but I'll kind of rehash it. When you're playing corner, you're on an island, whether it's zone or man. The only responsibility you have as a cornerback is the man in front of you and covering your 5, 7, 10-yard zone behind you. When you're playing free safety, you have to worry about everybody in front of you, cornerbacks, linebackers, the safety next to you. You have to pretty much be the last line of defense, and you have to tell everybody what their job is if they don't know. 90% of the cornerbacks in the NFL are not capable of doing that. It's just you can't just ask a guy just because he looks good in space to say, go back there and be the free safety and tell my nickel corner what to do when the line shifts. That's stuff people don't think about. Tell the wheel linebacker how deep he needs to get in his zone because they brought 2 tight ends to his side. That's not stuff cornerbacks think about. That's what free safeties do. You can't just throw a guy at free safety just because he plays well in space and then think he can take on those responsibilities that a safety has to take up. On top of that, a free safety has to cover a wide receiver, nickel back, tight end, running back. 9 times out of 10, the cornerback's only involved with the wide receiver. It's a huge difference in terms of responsibilities between free safety and corner. And that's why usually the only guys who can make that transition are cornerbacks who've been in the league for 10 years. Because at that point, they've played every cornerback position. They're smart enough to know everybody's responsibility. And when they go to the back end, they can rehash it.
Charles Woodson,
Rod Woodson,
Champ
Deion
did it.
Sanders. Who?
Didn't Champ Bailey do it?
Champ Bailey.
Yeah.
Guys like that who are and think about this, Lambo. Every guy you named is a borderline Hall of Famer or a Hall of Famer.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't just Kareem Lattimore
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
Mario Edwards.
Right.
You know, let's just toss them back at safety because they're not good enough to play corner. They'll be all-stars. You know, they'll be a Pro Bowl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great point. Great point with that one. So you can't just throw any run-of-the-mill cornerback just because he looks good in space and say he can play free safety. It's a whole lot more to the position than just being able to move well in space. And thank you for kind of backing me up on that. We're talking about the greatest corners ever. And when people name corners that converted to safety, those are the only names they bring up.
Yeah.
Everybody said Patrick Peterson may
Rod
go
Woodson.
Yeah, I said Rod Wilson. Right.
Yeah, did you say Rod?
Yeah. Everybody says Patrick Peterson may go to free safety this year. Did we see that happen? Oh, Richard Sherman may go to free safety. No, they're staying at corner. No matter how old they are, everybody can't make that transition. So yeah, that's pretty much my rant on that one. Great question, Mendoza. I only brought up Cox because I could slightly see it. I wouldn't do it, but it would make more sense than moving a cornerback to safety. Same thing with Jordan Lewis. Same thing with Anthony Brown. Same thing with Nashawn Wright.
It'd be like a J-Ron Curse back there.
Yeah. It has to be a guy who's played the free safety position for a while, not just a guy who he was good at it in high school. Because high school ball and college ball are completely different. High school ball and NFL ball are stratospheres apart. But yeah, great question. So I think that's pretty much all we got today. We went 1 hour, 57 minutes. Riker coming in. I don't think anybody really likes flipping corners to safety. But yeah, Quinn chose Neal and Cox in the draft because he knew the front office wouldn't let him get a safety high and he needed an option. That's a great point I didn't think about. Honestly, I think at this point, Cox may be a better safety option than Neal. Because you've seen Neal, right, Lambo?
Mm-hmm.
Neal is jacked. Neal's gained like 15 pounds of muscle.
He looks like he's set to be a linebacker at this point. He's big.
Even though he was a first-round pick at safety, I think the amount of weight and muscle that he's put on would probably eliminate him going back there right now. I think right now Cox will be a better fit in terms of skill set and body type. Even though Cox may actually be bigger, I think Cox is way more athletic than him right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say this before we get out of here. I know there's talk about Mukwamu converting. Mukwamu has to convert because there's no room for him at the cornerback position.
There's none. Yeah, not at all.
He can either be a good corner at the bottom of a very deep room or a bad safety in a very thin room. Even as a bad safety, he has a better chance of making the team than as a good corner because of the reasons I put up there. Because if you throw him in the cornerback room, now he's competing with guys like Anthony Brown, who you guys think are a lock to make the team. A guy like Reggie Robinson, who's probably just as big as him and way more athletic than him and has a year in the NFL. So guys like that, I don't like the move, but I understand it from them trying to make the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I know that argument is going to come up next about Mukwamu's converting. He has to convert. All right, guys, I think that's pretty much all we got tonight. We hit 2 hours, and honestly, Lambo and I thought we'd only go 1 hour.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for the great dialogue. Lambo, thank you for holding on because I know you're dead tired right now.
Yeah, I'm like a zombie.
Yeah, but you really brought it with the top 5. Great comments tonight. Great comments from the audience as well. You guys are the best fan base in the world, and we appreciate you guys support every step of the way as we go through our podcast journey. And thank you, Charlie. Like I said before, join us next week. I believe we're going to finally be back to our regular time, 7:30 Central Standard Time, for the Cowboy Zone, and our special guest will be Charlie and Eric from Dallas Cowboys Uncensored. We're gonna post 10 Cowboy-related questions, and everybody's gonna kind of give their answer as to fill in the blank, who's your best, who's your worst, stuff like that. So it should be some interesting dialogue. If we got Charlie coming on the show, we made the move to 10 o'clock because it might get uncensored real quick.
Yeah, I'm cool with the late show. Well,
no, we're good with 7:30.
Yeah,
7:30 Central Standard Time. I think that works for them. So join us same day, 7:30 Central Standard Time for the Cowboy Zone special guest, Charlie and Eric, Dallas Cowboys Uncensored. Talk training camp notes. You guys bring the great comments as always because we value your opinions just as much as our own. And Rika, I know you're one of those fans like me. You watch so much stuff. You can't watch everybody's stuff live, so you kind of watch stuff the next day. I do it all the time. So thank you for joining us live. I knew you were gonna bring some great comments, and you definitely did. Hope you can catch us live again soon.
Stay up, bro. Stay up.
Yeah. Thank you, Mendoza. Appreciate it as always.
Well, literally speaking, I ain't staying up. I'm tired.
Right. Between no sleep and that bottle that I think is empty now, Lambo doesn't have that much longer to be up.
That's how I do it.
All right, Lambo. So before we go, let everybody know where they can find you at on social media.
I'm gonna need more cowbell. Y'all can find me on Facebook. Y'all can find me at Cowboys Y'all. On Twitter, I'm Cowboys Y'all. At Twitter, I'm Cowboys Y'all. At Patreon, I'm Cowboys Y'all. And at Instagram, I am Cowboys Y'all 88.
All right, guys. You can find me on Facebook, Bluff City Cowboys, YouTube, Bluff City Cowboys, Instagram, Bluff City Cowboys, and Twitter at Bluff Cowboys. If you get a chance, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We're gonna do this weekly, like we've been doing for the past year or so. So make sure you continue to support us. You see, we got our cash apps in the corner. So if you enjoyed the show and you like to see us grow and develop, make sure you hit us up on our cash apps. Every little bit helps, either financially or with your likes and your shares. And once again, join us next week. Another training camp episode of the Cowboy Zone. Special guest, Dallas Cowboys Uncensored. Lambo, any closing remarks?
No, just want to let everybody know again, truly grateful for everybody that tunes in. We got families and things like that, but we just love even just taking time. We take time away from them because we love talking with everybody, and we can't do it without you guys. So when y'all show up and comment and interact, it really makes the show, and we couldn't do it without y'all. So thanks again a ton, and we really appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next week.
All right, guys. I'm Marcus. This is Lambo, and we are out. You guys enjoy your 4th of July holiday weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday.